Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nadine and I'm a qualified midwife here working in the UK. So in today's video I'll be talking about the misconceptions about midwives or about midwifery in general. So we'll be talking about the myths, the misconceptions, whether it's true or false, whether we do it or we don't, and we're going to dive deep into all those misconceptions and discuss them in great detail in today's video. So without further ado, let's get started with today's video. So the first misconception about midwives is that we are rich and we are living the best life and making a lot of money. Well, that is not the case. Midwives are not super rich. We are not rich. We're not rolling in money. We are not living our best lives and flying out every single week or every single month. We are not rich. It's not a profession that will make you seriously rich. So if you're thinking about going into midwifery and becoming a midwife because it pays well, it does pay well. It makes you, financially stable. You can live a comfortable lifestyle, but the pay doesn't actually make you rich to the point where you're flying out or buying luxury stuff or buying homes every day. So it's not a profession that will make you super rich or rich. It just allows you to live a very comfortable lifestyle. So it doesn't actually make you rich. And don't go into the profession thinking I'm going to be super rich after I become a midwife, because that is not the case. If I was super rich, you will see me flying out every single month, going to Dubai, going to the Bahamas, going to the Maldives, but that is not the case. The job itself does not allow you to become very rich. It allows you to become financially stable and actually live a very comfortable lifestyle, to be able to afford a comfortable life and go to the odd holiday here and there, but it doesn't allow you to become super rich. And people that think that midwives are literally living the life because they're making a ton of money, that is not the case. So don't go into midwifery thinking you're going to be a millionaire or super rich, because that is not the case. So the next misconception about midwives is that you have to be a nurse before you actually train or become a midwife. That is not true. I wasn't a nurse before I became a midwife. I didn't want to do nursing. I had nothing to do with nursing. I didn't have a nursing background, and you don't have to be a nurse to become a midwife. Of course, there's some nurses that go on and become midwives and they do the 18-month program, but you don't actually have to be a nurse before you actually become a midwife. I don't know why people think that they have to do nursing before they can actually become a midwife, because this is not true. It's a very big misconception or big myth. You don't actually have to be a nurse before becoming a midwife. So the next misconception that people have about midwives is that all we do is deliver babies. I mean, that's not all that we do. We don't just deliver babies, we do a lot more. And may I add, the term midwives actually means with women. So we don't only just deliver babies, we look after women before they have the baby, so antenatally, and then we look after women when they're, during labor, when they're having the baby, and we also look after women after they had babies, so postnatally. So we don't just deliver babies, we do so much more than just help women deliver or be on labor ward. We do a lot more than just deliver babies. We can work in specialist areas, we can do a ton more than just deliver babies. So that is one big misconception about midwives. We don't only just deliver babies, we do a lot more. There's a wide range of things that we do and a wide range of places or environments that we can work in. We don't just only deliver babies. So another misconception that people have about midwives is that we do the cesarean section. So we undertake the cesarean section. I don't know where people got that from, but we do not do the cesarean sections. We were not trained to undertake or do cesarean sections. The cesarean sections are done by the doctors or the obstetricians. We as midwives are there in the theatre or in the operating room, assisting the doctors or the anaesthetists and being there with the woman and basically preparing ourselves to receive the baby after the cesarean sections. But we do not undertake or do the cesarean sections ourselves, as we are not trained to do the cesarean sections. In our 3 years of training, they do not teach us to do cesarean sections. So midwives actually don't do or undertake the cesarean sections. That is the doctor's job and the obstetrician's jobs. They are the ones that actually undertake and do the cesarean sections. So another big misconception about midwifery or about midwives is that that men can't be midwives, or there's no male midwives. But I can tell you now, in this day and age, we have male midwives. Maybe way back when in the olden days it was seen as a role for women only, but currently now we have male midwives. So I get a lot of questions in my comment section below from men who are asking whether there are male midwives or if I can be a midwife if I'm a man. And yes, you can. We have male midwives. I currently work with a male midwife. I had a mentor when I was a student that was a male midwife. So yes, we have male midwives, and it's not a job or it's not a role for just women. Men can also become midwives, although it's very rare and you hardly see them. You have the odd one or two in the hospitals or when you're training. We do still have men, although they are rare and they're rarely seen. We do have male midwives, just the same as you have male nurses. We also have male midwives. So that is one big misconception about midwifery, about midwives, is that you can only be a female midwife, but that is not the case. We also have male midwives, and men can also become midwives. So another big misconception about midwifery or about midwives is that if you've trained outside the UK, say for example if you've trained in Spain, or if you trained in Ghana, if you trained in India, Thailand, you can't come to the UK and train and work as a midwife. And that is not true. If you've trained outside of the UK, you can come to the UK and basically do an NMC course to get onto the NMC, and basically you can train to become a midwife. If you have the right qualification that the NMC require, or if you meet the requirements of the NMC, you can come into the UK and actually practice and work as a midwife. I get so many international midwives that are asking me if they are able to come to the UK and work as midwives, because obviously they have qualifications from their country, but the NMC actually has a requirement for, you know, international midwives, and they can actually apply for the NMC and work in the UK as midwives. It's a question that I get a lot, and my answer is you can work in the UK as a UK midwife if you have trained outside the UK, as long as you meet the NMC requirements in order for you to have an NMC pin and be able to train and work in the UK. So the next misconception that we have about midwives is that midwives and doulas are actually the same thing or the same people and they do the same job, and that is not true. So doulas are non-qualified or non-medical people. They basically support women emotionally and physically during the laboring process, but they don't have the education and the training to actually care for women during that laboring process, or antenatally or postnatally. So doulas are there to, you know, give women emotional and physical support, but they can't give any medical advice. They can't care for you medically. They can just be there to support you, whereas a midwife has gone to school, has gone and had a degree or some sort of qualification, and they are trained in caring for women and their babies during the whole pregnancy period, and they can give you medical advice, they can care for you, they can, you know, do interventions, but doulas cannot. They are people that are non-medicalized, and they're there to basically give you support, physical support and emotional support, whereas a midwife can do it all, can also provide you physical, emotional support, and they have the training and the degree and the qualification to look after you throughout your pregnancy and care for you and deliver your baby and make sure you are well, provide you with information that is evidence-based, and basically look after women throughout their pregnancy period, antenatally, during labor and postnatally. So doulas and midwives are not the same thing. We are completely different and we do different things. One is medically trained, which is a midwife, and a doula isn't medically trained. So the next misconception about midwives is that we only work in hospitals, and that is not the case. We don't only just work in hospitals or on the wards. We can work in different work settings. For example, we can work in the community doing home visits, we can do home births, we can work in clinics, we can work in GP surgeries, we can work in specialist areas, we can work in offices, we can work in the scanning department, we can work in all kinds of different environments doing all kinds of different jobs and all kinds of different roles. We are not just confined to the hospital wards. We can work in all kinds of environment depending on the role that you have, depending on the type of midwife that you are. We are not confined to work in the hospital wards. We can work in all types of environment and not just on the wards. So the last and final misconception that people have about midwives is that we cannot have a social media platform, or we can't post anything about our work life or about what we do if we are midwives. And this is something that people think to be true, but it's not true. You can have a social media platform as a midwife and be posting content about midwifery, or about your work or about what you do. You just have to be careful and make sure you're not breaking the NMC code or your policy of work. For example, if you are posting a vlog of your day-to-day and what you do at work, you need to make sure that you are not disclosing any, you know, confidential information about your patients, about your colleague or where you work and things like that. So you can have a social media presence as a midwife like I do, but I just make sure that I don't break any rules. So you just have to be careful about what you post and how you post and how things can come across. You just have to be careful and mindful of the audience that you have and the tons of million people that can come across your channel or your page. So you just have to make sure that you're not breaking any confidential rules or you're not breaking any work rules, and you're basically being safe on social media and not exposing, you know, your patients or, you know, putting things out there that shouldn't be put out there. But that is one big misconception about being a midwife, is that you can't have social media or you can't post in your uniform. But that is something that is not true. I've been doing it for many years, and I've just made sure that I was safe about it, that I was aware about what I was posting, and I wasn't breaking any of the rules. So that is the last misconception about being a midwife or about the world of midwifery. If you guys have more misconceptions about the world of midwifery, about midwives, please do send them through. Drop them in the comment section below and I'll answer them. But give this video a thumbs up if you guys have enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. So until then guys, bye.